My name is Rami Pruitt. I'm an ex-software engineer with Amazon, Twitch, ex-Google intern. And today I'm talking to you why I chose Svelte over React for building my indie hacker project. So I think many people would say that React is a better language because it's more mainstream. But in my opinion, I think Svelte is a lot better because it's just a lot more fun to write an app with Svelte. And this is coming from somebody who has written React on the Twitch player. I've worked on massive React code bases, and it becomes super challenging in order to understand what's going on because React can get quite complicated as your systems grow. So I'm going to give you an example of React and Svelte versus Svelte, a detailed comparison. As you see, React hydrates the DOM, right? As you open the page on the client side, it starts to do its thing as far as progressing, making the JavaScript come. It's meant to happen on the client side. And although they have made like new tools, which is server components, its foundation is in the DOM rendering, which makes it a little bit slow. Like if you've seen React sites, and I'm going to pull them up eventually, you'll see that React sites tend to have a longer load time. And so in comparison, Svelte is it's a compile language. It compiles to vanilla JavaScript. And it is a lot smaller. Like, look at this, 40 kilobytes when compressed, where Svelte is 3 kilobytes when compressed. So that's minimal data over the wire for your users to download or the browser to download before actually the page is rendered. And so I really, that's one of the main reasons that I wanted to build Donor Sync with Svelte, is because I want widgets that are moving really fast. And so let's take a look at how Svelte manages state. So you have something like a counter and you use your hooks. And even though like hooks are a lot better than they used to be, right? I don't know if you guys remember how it was with classes, but this is as small as it's gotten to do with React. You have to manage this counter and you have to set this count. And although this does not look like a lot, like on the Twitch player, something like this becomes massive. It becomes extremely massive as far as that, where look, like you don't even have to use some special function or import anything. All you have to do is say leg count and click, and it's done. So in comparison, like this is 2 lines of code, and where this is just abstracted to just 1. And so managing state, you have all these various different state functions, like to use state, use the reducer, use context to manage your state, where it's just built into Svelte for what is it? State management is built into the Svelte language, and you don't need to look for any framework in order to help with that. And so, yeah, the template syntax, in my opinion, JavaScript is a little bit better as far as making things that you can write fast, where Svelte is more declarative, right? It's easier to read. Like if you have experience with something like Golang, you understand how when code is simple, it's easier to maintain. It's easier to understand what's going on. It's easier to like onboard a new employee to your job. And so with virtual DOM, when you have these massive state management, like hooks, user profiles, I don't know if you're in the React, then you have ads. It's just a lot simpler. Like, and the performance, like as your code base grows, I hear that React is a better language overall because it can help you make micro front ends. But I don't envision DonorSync to go beyond. I'm not really thinking about DonorSync as a product that's going to have or as a company that's going to have more than 100 employees. And so perhaps if you were building something with 1,000 employees, you would think to yourself like, oh, I need something like React because it's already like there's major players in Spotify and not Spotify, in Twitch and others companies that are using React at these levels and they're pre-building tools. And so the learning curve, the performance, it's just a lot easier. Let me see if they give me any more context. So yeah, obviously I've talked about earlier how I've had a issue with the templates, right? React has many users that are building templates, right? It's been around longer, where Svelte is a smaller ecosystem, right? We don't have that big of players into each situation. But it is growing. I think it is something that is worth investing your time in understanding, because Svelte is, in my opinion, as you've seen, a better language overall, right? So when to choose React or Svelte. So if you are a large enterprise with a very complex application, I would say React is better for you. It's more ready to scale with multiple teams, right? When to use Svelte. It's a better project if you're smaller or medium-sized applications. So DonorSync is not going to ever be as complicated as React. Maybe it will be as complicated as Patreon, but it is not managing thousands of viewers concurrently on one page all at one moment. And so I think Svelte is a better fit for indie hackers. It's what I would recommend, right? And we're seeing a little bit more code snippets, which I would have liked earlier. But look, here's the form. We have the hooks where it is, and let me see if I can get that closer. So this is a form data, right? We're looking for name and email. We have this handle the form input. We have to prevent the defaults, right? We have two functions, one for setting the state of the form, one for actually handling said manipulation, or I guess they're console logging it right there. And so look at how verbose it is just to handle a form, where in Svelte, the same function is half the size, right? I think this is just a lot more fun for me to read and understand what is going on, and this balloons up, guys, like with more complexity, your React app with doing all this complicated logic, it's just going to be a headache to maintain long term, where Svelte is just, you come in, like I could go into a Svelte project on GitHub and I'm ready to make contributions day one, just because it's not as complicated. As your business logic grows on the front end, it's just not as complicated. So React has all these features, these new features, in order to help you get up to the performance that Svelte has, which is concurrent rendering, server components, right? Where it's like it's putting a Band-Aid over something that messed up from the beginning. And so you understand that when you, in my opinion, something that is first is not always best, right? But when you're first, you win. Like, think about, people will honestly say that Android had a lot of features that iPhone took. But since iPhone was first to capture the market in smartphones, a lot of people when they think of smartphones, they think of iPhone, even though it's not necessarily the best smartphone today. It was just first. And so, yep, As far as the things, like there has not been as many, there are major updates. I'm not familiar with the runes, but as you see, Svelte is less mature, but it is something that I am willing to stake my career on as far as making a project that is going to be scale well and have great performance. And so let me give you guys a little bit of examples as far as sites that are built in React and Svelte. So I will give you the example of Twitch. Like, let's look at Twitch right now. Let's just go to Twitch. Also, I should be streaming on Twitch. If you guys are looking at that. Well, I don't know if you guys paid attention to how long that took in order for it to load. Let me see if I can just go. It's pretty fast, but you can see for a split second, it goes there, right? And I guess I'm not logged into Twitch, but if you want to check me out, shameless plug, the Black Tech Experience on Twitch, right? 0 views. I'll play that. But yeah, check me out every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'll give you another example of a site that's built in React, which is Discord, right? Let me see if I can open Discord without the challenging. Look at that load time. Look at how long that took for it to just get up and running, right? Obviously, when you've already loaded, it gets a lot faster. But that is something that I would not like to see in Donor Sync. So I am going to spend the time to maybe write more code since things are not ready. But I'll let you know, like maybe in the future, I will be looking at Donor Sync and I'll be like, maybe React would have been a lot better because I have to make everything from scratch. And if you guys want to look at some websites that are built in Svelte, we can take a look at chess.com. Look how instant that was. Obviously, there's a lot less going on, but excuse me, it's just a smoother experience when you load the page. When it's almost instant. Like I can barely see like it changing when I try to refresh the page. But I guess I'm gonna end it here. Let me guys know what you use in your stack, whether you think React is worth the complexity and the pain it is to write, or would you go for something like Svelte? But other than that, deuces.